Did I forget my tea? God damn it, I did. Shit. Put that there. Put the water bowl right. There we go. There you go, buddy. Bada bing, bada boom, bop. Ugh. This be a Zook off stream? A little bit. I mean, not exactly because he's over there, but I'm right here. Trying to get his food and water and my tea. Kinda needed that, at least. Yeah, it's a little chilly right now. Chilly, chilly. Oh my goodness. Now I'm wearing like fucking a lot of layers too. Ugh. Got fucking some leather on, some wool on, a fucking hoodie on, and I'm still cold. Like, what the fuck? Does my body not know what core temperature is? Like, does it just not put that in its lexicon of understanding? Because, fuck. I swear that's like what my main weakness is, like, ooh, dead ass, no core body temperature. It's like, what the fuck? I'll wake up and as soon as I immediately take myself out of the covers, I am immediately fucking freezing. And it is almost impossible to get warm again, like, for a while. It is so stupid. One thing I love about revisiting Victoria's mansion or Congress, the more socialist your states are, the more socialist Congress slowly becomes. Yeah, I've been noticing that. Actually, funny enough, I was playing some Victoria 2 last night, and I beat the American Civil War with, like, 2 years quicker than it initially went on. So by 1861, I crushed a lot of their immediate forces and just immediately mobilized and recruited en masse a bunch of troops. And then at that point, like, I just focused on their biggest armies and then just started crushing them. And slowly but surely, once there was not enough Confederate soldiers to, like, take out my armies, I just slowly but surely start taking out every province. And once I conquered every province, I'm like, alright, bitch. Now it's time to reunite you. Funny enough, I captured Richmond first. That was actually the easiest thing. They left it totally abandoned the entire time. Well, I guess in the beginning, they will, like, you know, have their, you know, like, because I know with, like, at the beginning, if you start in the House Divided, like, there will be an army there, but if you defeat them and crush them, they'll retreat, and then you can just go right into Richmond. And if you mobilize and deploy troops before you actually press play and, like, unpause the game, then that's, like, an immediate advantage. Because I remember playing, first time around, I didn't do that, and I actually somehow had Mexico go to war with me, and then the Confederate States and I, like, made a truce, and I was like, I don't like that. So I was like, let's restart that a little bit. I played around with it a little differently, and it ended up being a lot quicker. But unfortunately, Ulysses S. Grant died. He died apparently not even in battle while he was occupying a territory. So unfortunately, in my timeline, America is not going to have Ulysses S. Grant for for president, which sucks because honestly, U.S. Grant's actually kind of based as a general, but also as like a person. Like he was just like a big fat cigar smoking alcoholic that just like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I'll just wear civility and shit. Fuck that. Like he was not exactly the biggest like decorum guy, and it was known. Nice. Kentucky's only trans athlete banned from middle school sports. Really? Team she helped create? Oh my god, there was a bit longer title to it. She was banned from the team she created. Or helped create. Oh my god. Dude, these fucking states, bro. They like, hey, we know Texas got some trans people. Hey, look for the school file, see if there's a trans kid in Kentucky school or something. Oh, we didn't find anything. Look again. Oh, I think we found one person. Good, let's ban him. It's like, oh my god, bro. Utah was literally like, Utah literally had only one trans person they were fucking on, and now goddamn Oklahoma, or Kentucky. Well, I guess Oklahoma too. But Kentucky. But goddamn it, man. Fuck these states. One thing you should be aware of is the infamy meter. The more shitty things you do, like illegal war goals, the more infamous you become, the more likely alliance of enemy nations forms against you. Well, luckily I'm not doing that. I just want to kind of get my, get like the U.S. in a little bit more socially, I guess. Socialistic-y, I guess. I'm just going to kind of let the game play out a little bit and just kind of see where things go. Because all in all, I mean, like, it looks like a game more based around, like, not necessarily doing full-on, like, conquering and war goals and shit like that in comparison. Like, EU4 and Hearts of Iron and stuff like that, it's a little bit more akin to that type of stuff, but it looks like Victoria 2 is a little bit more about just, like, nation management. Which is fine. I like those type of games anyway. You should look at the name of the American Socialist Party. Actually, I haven't even done that yet. I guess I could pull it up real quick and see. Fuck it. Might as well. The Working Men's Party. Oh, nice. Well, actually, I think that's historical, because there was, at least once upon a time, a party called the Working Men's Party. So it's probably historical. Here, let me just pull up Victoria 2. As it slowly loads. I think 7 version is called Brothers of the Revolution. I'm kind of, like, okay with that. Brothers of the Revolution, that sounds dope. I imagine that, like, if you were the Confederate States and you boosted it up to the point where there was, like socialists that rose up in the country. I like to make communist Confederate States. That'd be interesting, like, the Confederate States rises up to be, like, some slave-baron fucking, like, proto-fascist shithole, but then ends up becoming a more socialist, like, place after, a bunch of shit happens. That'd actually be kind of funny. Okay, that's a little that. I like how the intros to Paradox Interactive games are always so loud. It starts off with just a huge-ass crescendo and just goes very loud at you. But bass line music is bass and loud now. I know. But yeah, here, let me go into the politics then and check it out. It doesn't even even say? Oh, here we go. It's just called the Socialist Party. Radical Party, Southern Democrats, Socialist Party, Democratic Party, Republican Party. And the Socialist Party is the only party that's anti-military. The rest of them are either jingoistic or pro-military. I also got the 8-hour workday in. Slavery's outlawed. But outside of that type of shit, there ain't too much else. And I'm a great power. More stylized party names might be part of my mod since I never played vanilla. Yeah, that could be it. So if you have a mod that stylizes some of the names, then that could be it. I know there also was a Socialist Party just called that. I have a Texan Liberation Movement. It actually has like a little bit of a population support. Same with the Confederate Liberation Movement. We're just going to suppress kind of both of those. There's a suffrage, common school, minimum wage, safe working condition, voter rights movement, and campaign for old age security movements. But I'm not suppressing those. In fact, the women's suffrage movement almost has 1 million people supporting it. So I'm just going to let that be a thing and eventually let that go through. Because I'm a nice guy. Hey! Moving my trips around near the south and the Mexican border just to kind of keep things pretty secure. Movements can turn into rebellions to piss them off or not. Yeah. Local, state. Wait, what's this? Debate has flared up in the U.S. election whether we should interview... Okay, what's this? Proponents of state capitalism are arguing to have more direct system of government investment and reinvestment in the long term. Okay. Oh, this is just for stuff like planned economies and things like that. But there's actually kind of like a big thing about state capitalism, I guess. Actually, my planned economy is at 35.23%, while the second highest is interventionism at 33.51%. Personally, I use state capitalism until communist powers become available, then I do a planned economy. Yeah. Well, funny enough, planned economy is actually the most supportive system in the U.S. right now, at least in 1872 in my game. Oh, well, no, now it's 1873. And I like how the conservatives are literally losing at least 1% point every time there's an upper house rearrangement. I love it. It just keeps growing. Or I guess shrinking. The ones that seem to be growing the most is the liberal and socialist parties now at this point. Reactionaries kind of grow a little bit, but not a lot. So, it seems like the more leftier elements in the nation at this point are starting to kind of rise. Although, of course, you're not going to see me kind of, you know, cry a river about that. And there's only one war going on in the world, and it's in Peru. It's Brazil versus Peru and Argentina. What's going on down there? Argentina and Peru. Well, technically, it looks like Brazil's losing. At least from territorial gains here, or territorial losses and gains. Personally, yeah, but yeah, it doesn't really look like there's much. I know there's a decision to buy Alaska at some point, but I don't know when that's going to pop up. Actually, let me see where... Where is it? Where is it? Oh, right here. Decisions. Like restore to academia. Gross. I'm not gonna do that. That actually makes me lose prestige. And shit. That makes... Like, why would I do this decision? It's horrible. But, Alaska... Okay. Have not invented nationalism and imperialism. Oh, I have to invent the technology for that. Where's that? It's not even in here. Just click on stay and click the box next to stay and you'll see what kind of focuses you can do. Yeah, I've already figured that out. Funny enough, I think Oregon has the most socialist ideology in the country at 30%. My state, dude. My fucking state, bro. While Wyoming has actually got like 19... Idaho has 25%. The Nevada, Utah region's like 19%. Chicago, Illinois region's at 18%. So yeah, Oregon is like the most socialist, basically. At least from what it says here. And the most outside of that is basically, where was it? Here? Yeah, right here. What? Maryland? Oh, no. It's, Utah. Or Idaho at 25%. So 30 and 25%, and that's in the Pacific Northwest primarily. Interesting. Historically, the Pacific Northwest is becoming more leftist instead of racist, like it usually was. Historically, like, okay. Okay. Go technology tab, research new tech from there. And I didn't see it there, though. At least when it came to that whole new thing. I'm trying to see where it would be in all this. Oh, what's this? The American Red Star, a new daily note. Wait, what's this? No shame about peeling cleans incorporating Washington. American Red Star, officially Oregon. Official party organ for the American Socialist Party. The Red Star publishes deep movement social commentary about seldom without picturesque reports and conditions, you know? The Red Star stands or so claims for international solidarity, workers' rights, unionism, and many classes are on broad democratic social base. I love that one of the responses to this where you can make like the rich strata 1% communist, I guess. I shall suggest this down at the club and they start a subscription. Gin anyone? Or I can make the lower poor strata 5% socialist. What is this horrid piece of paper? You fish and chips wrapping? I like the little responses to them. I mean, I think having some of the upper class, you know, even if it's 1%, would actually legitimately be good and helpful. Even if it's just 1%, they do gain militancy, though. Way more so than fucking, the poors. I'll get more support via the poor, though, if I do it that way. I forgot I had the Cold War on, so I just loaded up my Soviet Union fame by mistake. I'm actually gonna do the rich guys. I'll let them get all rabble-roused and be like, blah, 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 what is this nonsense? Okay. You'll get a lot of flavor events that you'll slowly influence the public with. And I think I'm doing that. Eventually. Slowly but surely. I just realized I don't think I need to have my my troops mobilized. There's no reason to have them mobilized anymore at this point. So we'll just have them stand down for now. Damn, the German Empire formed. So the German Empire is starting to be a thing. Oh boy. Yourself to shame. What? How about we don't let, like, weird, crazy fucking billionaire monopolists fucking, you know, control the social spheres and also just, like, the overall, like, sphere of the general, like, social zeitgeist. Like, the last thing we need is fucking a bunch of billionaire cocksuckers being in fucking power. Like, way more and more as they already are. Where's my grinder? There it is. We're on social media giants. Yeah, they're also fucking a bunch of monopolists and corporate, you know, pieces of shit, too. It's as if that, like, a lot of that is just a bunch of corporate elitists and a fucking bunch of owner-class capitalist tycoonsmen who are just, you know, competing on, you know, who owns what when it comes to their influence and power. It's as if it has nothing to do with us. Yeah. There, so I have space to grab my weed. Their only real goal is to make more money and costs. Hence why fucking Elon Musk is, you know, bought up some of Twitter and wants to own it, because that's a way for him to maximize more money and continue making a profit, as he's already doing. Like, because if he cares so much about free speech, I mean, it's just like, are we gonna, you know, be looking at that and be like, hey, you know, you're gonna be okay with a bunch of people who are criticizing you, Elon? Are you gonna be okay with people criticizing Tesla? Because I'm pretty sure, you know, he would be singing a very different tune, you know, as soon as that shit started happening. Blue checkmark freak out. I don't care what dumbass, like, liberal blue checkmark motherfuckers have to say about anything. Like, that blue checkmark doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm also not even on Twitter. Like, I used to. But at this point, not anymore. Whenever I was suspended, which I think was back in, like, 2020 or some shit, or maybe 2021. I don't even remember. I don't even know at this point. I kind of forgot. But I'm pretty sure it was around those years. And ever since I was suspended, I didn't even bother making an account or fucking challenging it or anything. I was just like, oh, okay, fuck this platform then. So let's chill phenomenon. Yeah, there's people that don't necessarily like free speech. I mean, you're gonna have that a lot. There's gonna be a lot of people like that. I mean, fuck, like, if I was in absolute power, you know, it's just like, you know, we're gonna have, you know, like, I bet I would probably do that, you know, despite me being more defensive and an advocate of it. I know right-wingers say the same. Yeah, I know evangelical Christians who say the same too. Like, there's a lot of people of all sorts of political stripes who are against free speech. Free speech? I don't know why I keep saying it that way. Free peach. Free peach. Oh my god! Free speech. Jesus. I keep thinking of it as like a meme, so I'm like, freeze peaches or something. Don't agree on everything? Sure. Pretty much the same way. I mean, as long as there's no, like, actual, like, you know, threats or anything like that, because at that point, then it's just an equal playing field. So, I mean, it's just like, all in all. Liberals advocate censorship in my experience. I mean, like, it's usually a lot of people that have echo chambers. Like, I've been in tanky circles, and there's been times where a lot of them have banned me over stupid shit, too, where I would, like, you know, say something that's, you know, pretty left, but for some reason it's not left enough to them, so they're like, eh! It's just like, yeah, you know, it's like, we're co-ops and unions and all that, like, that's all a good thing, and it's just like, but, you know, it doesn't go as far as, like, absolute, total, complete, you know, utter, you know, war control of literally absolutely everything, and, you know, because it's not exactly, you know, the specific way they want it, it's like, no! I mean, I've had that. I've definitely had libs who will take, you know, a lot of my, you know, radical leftyism and stuff, you know, be like, you're going too, you know, hard, you need to chill out, bro. You know, we need to be civil here. And because I'm not civil enough, they'll ban you. I mean, it's just like, one person's free speech is just another person's, you know, thing to, you know, shut down. So it's just like, all in all, while, you know, fundamentally I'm definitely, you know, an advocate supporter of it, like, I mean, even the people that, you know, say that you ought to be silenced, you know, have the right to say that too. So it's just like, you're gonna get fucking plethora of people for it. And honestly, like, when it comes down to, like, somebody just banning one person on their personal account, like, alright, I'll ban you, boom, you know, or some shit, like, that's not, you know, a violation of free speech, you know, at least in that instance. Like, you know, you're blocking somebody off of, you know, from looking at your account or some shit, and, you know, and from seeing them. It's like, okay, I mean, that's, you know, there isn't, you know, an absolute direct, you know, line of, like, you know, speech at that point. It's just, you know, like, the equivalent of, like, you know, I don't want to talk of you, so fuck off, you know, and leave me alone type of thing. You know, so it's just like, you know, there's definitely some lines, but, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, it's not about, like, you know, oh, you know, you're absolutely removed from this or that. Like, that type of thing, you know, it's a little bullshit. When it comes to, like, one-on-ones or somebody's personal account blocking you, it's just like, either log off your account so you can watch them again, or log into an alt account. Like, I mean, you know, at least as it stands now, there's plenty of ways to bypass that shit. But when it comes to social media platforms, not as much. I mean, I guess you could, like, I could make a sock account or an alt account for Twitter and shit, but for places like Twitch, not really. So do the empty pocket book for a cokehead Zelensky. For a cokehead Zelensky? Is he a cokehead? Given his current situation, I don't think he has access to cocaine. Though if I was in his position, fuck, I'd like some. Because honestly, it'd probably keep me awake. And if anything, you probably need to be awake for shit like that. So it's to document problem with powder. I mean, considering the, you know, like, the energy firms with Hunter Biden and all that type of shit, I mean, I suppose there wouldn't be necessary, I suppose it wouldn't be too far-fetched that, you know, politicians there are also doing blow. I mean, politicians are doing blow. I mean, come on. Peanuts problem with pills. Yeah, politicians have a problem with drugs. Like, honestly, like, that's just, I mean, I don't even think they're problems. I don't care that they do drugs. If anything, I think that's actually kind of a humanistic factor of them. It's like, oh, cool. Like, a politician does coke? Sweet. It's like, alright. I mean, if anything, that, you know, that's, like, an irrelevant thing, but kind of a somewhat positive thing, I guess. It's like, oh, okay. I don't care. I just wish there wasn't the hypocrisy where it's like, we can't have it. It's like, boo, fuck you, it ain't just for you. Well, I guess it is, but it shouldn't be. If fucking Trump has like a problem literally snorting Adderall. What's Biden doing? I don't even know what Biden does. Probably like some sort of weird upper. Probably a bunch of uppers to keep him awake and cognitive. Kind of. Took to bed, okay? I don't have a I have a problem when they're used as an exploitative factor and abused. But like when it comes down to an individual using it, I mean, it doesn't have any like merit towards me, really. I got my own substances I use. I got my vices. Drink, weed. Those are my main. For some other people, it might be coke or it might be fucking, you know, some other shit. I really need this up now, actually. Wait, I want to see first. Oh, yeah. Like, taxpayers shouldn't be on the hook for it. I mean, it should be on the hook for being able to at least have, you know, rehabilitative programs and, you know, treatments available for when it comes to people who do abuse of substances. But it shouldn't go into criminalizing them or putting them into fucking prisons. For weapon, it won't have problems here, right? Obviously. I mean, I definitely, when it comes to the military, yeah, we need to have massive fucking cuts to that shit. And honestly, a lot of the military budget is basically just going to these corporations like Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, shit, to do these contracts to make these new aircraft or new weapons and shit. And they just stall them or purposely make them shitty so they could say, oh, we need extra money to actually make it better. So they can, you know, so that so now we have like an F-35 that's literally the most garbage fucking thing ever. And I actually feel bad whenever I see that thing mentioned anywhere, going to anywhere. It's like gross, ew. I mean, it's like if we're gonna make new fighters and shit, actually make it fucking work. Like, I don't have a problem with making, you know, our military equipment up to date and stuff like that. That's honestly a good thing, you know. You want to make sure your shit's up to date and, you know, and all that. But, you know, like, you don't want to, like, you know, make it something so where these fucking corporations just exploit that shit. And where our military budget is so inflated to the point where everything else gets deprioritized to fucking shit. And now we're, you know, where we have an education system, a healthcare system, a fucking infrastructure system, and just a system in general that's just so, just goaded into, you know, like, not being, you know, for the average person. Saying we need negotiations. I don't get the whole fucking thing about, you know, Chomsky on this thing. Like, pretty much a lot of these more lib types look at Chomsky as, like, more so as, you know, something that is necessary when he happens to agree with them, but basically will just never say his name, ever. Like, when it comes to anything else. You know, or if anything, you know, we'll, you know, lash out of him if they happen to disagree with him fervently on some shit like this. Because, yeah, he was basically saying, like, yeah, there, you know, needs to be more, you know, peace negotiations and a prioritization of that and actual political will for it, because that will lead to shit, less instability, less deaths, you know, less problems overall. Does that mean it's going to be a cure-all, and is it going to be necessarily, you know, the great thing, best thing ever? No. But all in all, I mean, it's definitely the better outcome. More you don't call it, like, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's specifically like the left. I would just say it's like a lot of just, you know, different lefties who get tied into a lot of the more American-centric jingoism and shit. You know, and on top of that, you know, a lot of these other, you know, bread tubers and shit that, you know, don't really have, like, you know, this sense of being outside of that either, where they also kind of perpetrate this very hyper kind of American-centric viewpoint. Like, I mean, I don't necessarily think we need to name names on it, but it's just like there's, you know, I think, you know, definitely a few pretty influential people, you know, on the left, at least when it comes to, like, content creators, that do this shit. Instead of actually, you know, being maybe a little bit more critical about, you know, some of this type of shit. But if you are, suddenly, I guess you're, like, either pro-Putin or just like nothing but purely an anti-American lefty, and that's literally it, or some shit, or he happens to absolutely fervently in no uncertain terms and unconditionally defend China or Russia, North Korea, or some other random fucking thing. Makes me know, is that correct? With Glenn Greenwald, I don't know. Like, I know he went on some sort of thing that on like I know he had like some Twitter rant or some shit that a lot of people didn't like, but I forgot what it really was about. With Jimmy Dore though, like, yeah, I mean, I would say there is, to some element, but I don't really necessarily, think that's just because, by accident or anything. Like, it's like I was a listener to Jimmy Dore, I mean, to the point where I'd seen one of his shows live. And, even for me, it's just like, I mean, it's like I don't even really necessarily want, what, like, little route he fell down. Going, basically, spewing a bunch of random fucking, like, hyper, like, anti-vax type of rhetoric and shit. Like, that was the line for me. Because at least when it comes to, critiquing the Democratic Party, DNC, a lot of these, so-called progressives, it's just like, yeah, I mean, we need, firebrands, like that, but, I mean, there needs to be a very constant, consistency with this type of shit. But you saw a lot more money going into, more of this, cold, skepticism towards, fucking vaccines and shit. Even though he himself is vaxxed, on top of a lot of these other fucking people, and yet, knows he can make a lot more money, spewing that type of stuff. It's like, what? Doesn't exactly seem too honest from him. Jimmy Dore, more like Jimmy Snore. Bosch, more like Squash. Oh my god. Oh my god, bro. Some actual analysis for once today. I would say it's just dumbass, as I thought. Oh boy. Jimmy had a bad reaction. Friends are also published arguments made in the fact that 3% against Smith. Also got trends. Well, yeah, because there's people that have had that there's people that have negative health effects towards vaccines. I mean, that is true. There's people that have allergies to certain ingredients in them. People that just can't necessarily handle those type of things. I mean, there is cases of that. I mean, there's people who are autoimmune who are at risk from taking it because it might make them legitimately sick from it anyway, and their body overreacts to it. I mean, there's a lot of different instances of like that. I mean, my mom is autoimmune and she got the vaccine as well, both of them, and boosted. And she definitely wasn't exactly 100%, at all from taking them, and she definitely had some adverse effects. I mean, I did too, to some extent. It was mostly just a sore arm and feeling kind of groggy for a day or two. I mean, it's just like, there's going to be some effects, from them, but, fundamentally it's about, like, how severe they are. I mean, and yeah, there's definitely going to be people that might have some more severe reactions, but it's not necessarily because, there's something right out into the, vaccine itself. It's just that a lot of the ingredients in these things aren't, some people just can't necessarily handle. And some of them have allergic reactions to them. Those three still necessarily face me on the left, like we had 20 years ago. Would you say that's accurate? Yes, for big farm first. Well, I mean, I would say they do. I mean, being anti-war, I think, isn't necessarily like a left thing, but I would say is, predominantly like a leftist idea. Same thing with being more pro-free speech and being against, I mean, more, I would say very specifically like the exploitation of the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, I think, having at least a pharmaceutical industry to, do research and development for medical science is necessary, but, the exploitative for-profit factors of this type of shit, is absolutely, a fundamental problem. Like, that's, I think, the core root to a lot of the issues of Big Pharma, is that there's such a privatized for-profit initiative behind it instead of a legitimate medicinal research, aspect to it. I mean, it's not like there isn't, but a lot of that, research and development is taken up and basically bought off by a lot of these insurance, or not insurance, but these pharmaceutical companies so they can make a profit off of it. Not necessarily so they can, skew things into their favor outside of just, well, them making the money. Because that's all they give a fuck about. And that's a lot of what these type of major industries and big industrial complexes, so to speak, whether they're from the prison, military, or pharmaceutical industrial complexes or whatever, but they're all about making their buck, because that's all they give a fuck about. It's how they can maximize their dollar and power and influence while making sure everyone else below them gets as little of that as possible. It's going on, but you don't want to be so free speech that you can literally say anything. Or do you limit when it comes to your enemies? I wouldn't necessarily say enemies. I just say, there is within, elements of within reason. Like, for example, if you're in a theater, you can't yell like, oh fuck, there's a fire or some shit when there's literally nothing going on besides just people watching a thing, or something like a movie or, play or some shit. Like, there's definitely, certain elements. Like, also, you can't literally, go up to someone like, I will literally fucking, kill you or some shit. Whatever the fuck, and especially if you have, a weapon with you or something. It's just there's just certain things that, are kind of out of that purview, for sure. Because, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily think, it should be okay to be go up to someone or, do an outright avocation for, direct threats of violence on somebody. But, my free patio fire theater. I mean, not necessarily. Yeah, but amount extremists, as long as not make threats to harm, you should be honest. It's the most extreme right-wing people. Sure, because honestly, at the end of the day, I think sunlight's the best disinfectant when it comes to shit. When it comes to some of these more fascist, racist types, for example, I'd rather them be in sun. And honestly, they kind of are right now. So if anything, I prefer if they are out in the limelight, so I know who the fuck they are. If anything, that's kind of, my element and, true standing behind free speech is so I know who the fuck I'm talking with, really. So there isn't, this weird guise of having to hide, this sense of, your ideas or views or whatever the fuck because, you can't say it. I don't have, it's just can't say it or else I might get, punished or something. It's just fuck that. I'd rather you just be in the limelight so I know who the fuck I'm talking with. At least when it comes to politics. It's your right, extreme right way, it depends. But, no, it's consistent, which it was. Because in my mind, a Nazi's a Nazi is a Nazi. It doesn't really matter if they're a Ukrainian Nazi, a Russian Nazi, an American Nazi, a German Nazi, or fucking a Bolivarian Nazi. I don't give a fuck. It's I mean, they're a fucking Nazi. And they're fucking far-right extremists, so fuck them. At least when it comes down to that type of shit. But, it's I mean, it's but if you're against the, some Ukrainian Nazis and shit that, are integrated into a lot of the fucking, forces, mainly, especially out in Mariupol, because I know that's where Azov is stationed at, then it's just yeah. So, it's just I guess suddenly out of nowhere, you're just immediately, just anti-Ukrainian for that. It's no, not necessarily. I'm against, countries being just invaded and shit, so it's on that, virtue, I'm gonna be, supportive, but not because, our buddies out there, we need to help them out. It's I mean, it's I'm more so about, the people there and thinking about their fucking plight and instability, because of this shit. It's gonna be, things starvation, I mean, there's already this type of shit happening. I mean, this happens in war, where there's, instability, starvation, lack of clean water and all this other shit. And it's just like, I mean, that's why, fundamentally against these wars, regardless of whose side it's on, or who's enacting it, or who's on the defense and shit, really. Like, I'm against war, period. Left-wing people most... But the Vosh shops are okay. The Vosh isn't the entire left wing might do. Yeah. Yeah, Vosh is definitely not the entire encompassation of the left. I mean, I think he's a good voice for a good element of them, but he definitely doesn't represent all of them or even the majority of them. Certain worldview of abortion left. And more example. Well, yeah. There's people like Demon Mama, Xander Hall. I'm very reluctant to say Dylan Burns, but he's more of just kind of straight up a lib. But, there's, like, definitely a lot of different, like, bread tube lefty types out there and shit. And they all kind of have their own different little, like, like, detailed views outside of, the generalized, left, too. But also, a lot of them do kind of support a lot of the shit going on. The little I've heard. It's kind of in foreign policy. He's definitely a lib on pretty much everything else, though. Like, he's a foreign policy expert. He's like, I think 21 or 22 or some shit, and he already has, like a lot of work in that type of field. So, I mean, he's definitely got a record, and a career already on that. So, I mean, if anything, I think a lot of that has shaped his worldview on that, especially, being from such an early age. So, but when it comes to a lot of his domestic affairs, he's definitely, I'd say at best probably just progressive, and at worst probably just lib, like neo-lib type. I mean, he's okay. I mean, I don't like absolutely hate the dude or nothing. Like, I like, if anything, I don't really like actually like hate any of these people personally or anything. I might not like their political views, but like overall, like I don't like have anything against these people personally. Like, I'd still have a beer with Jimmy Dore, Vosh, fucking Dill Birds and all these people. Too bad, man. Oh, Infrared? Yeah, I've kind of listened to some of his stuff. He kind of seemed like a little bit of a Chad bro from the little I've seen of him, but it was kind of funny. I remember this one clip where this one lady, I think another Twitch streamer, was asking how many holes does a woman have, and he said, and I'm pretty sure he only said 3, and the woman was just laughing. And he was like, what's so funny? And it's just like, and it's like, dude, like, men have 3 holes, like, women technically got 4. Or I think he said 2, and when it comes to orifices, because I think, when it comes to, like, the vagina, there's technically 2, because you got the urethra, but then you got the actual, like, vagina going on there, and then, then you ass and back. But for, like, dudes, it's just, 2 down there. So it's just like, he literally thought it was just like, oh, there's only 2, right? And the chick was just laughing her ass off, because it's like, what? What's so funny? Because I think he actually thought that women, like, piss out of the vagina or something. And I'm just like, bruh. So I'm just like, dude. I mean, he's kind of a dork a little bit. So, but honestly, like, again, I definitely got nothing against him. Like, if anything, I kind of find him a little amusing. But I've only seen a little bit of him. And at least the one thing I specifically remember out of him was definitely that little, clip. But, hey. I mean, all in all, he's definitely kind of a chill looking guy, all in all, it seems. And a good old thing is like a cool listener, right? I mean, hey, I don't know what I'm getting at. That's just me though. I mean, I think it's just technical biology. It was just kind of funny. I don't think it was like meant to be some serious thing, and I think he was just kind of confused overall when she was just laughing, and it was just funny. Like, honestly, like, I think it was just kind of a harmless little goof of a clip. I mean, you just need that sometimes, like, out of, like, these content creators, I think, these, like, clip channels need to just, like, clip more harmless, funny things like that. Like, because, honestly, like, out of all, like, the crazy shit that happens, like, how many, like, random little harmless goofs happen on streams, you know what I mean? Like, there's been plenty of times where harmless little goofs and gaffs happen to my shit out of all the more serious, out of context clips that could have been taken from me, you know? So it's just like, I mean, especially with me, like, I mean, I'm pretty usually a light-hearted, easygoing kind of dude for the most part. So, it really has to, like, you know, like, it has to take, like, a certain somebody to really, you know, piss me off, honestly. There's just because of a tech transparency project article boosted by the financial census story, how they went after him and some other people. Huh. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think, like, I'm starting to kind of think that Twitch is trying to, like, really honestly try to be more of a, like, gaming slash, like, casual streaming platform more so than, like, an actual political platform. And I think, you know, to start that, it's been just trying to go after, like, the more outliers. Because I remember a radical maniac he was temporarily suspended for about a month, though he got it lifted because it was some bullshit, because he was arguing with some Nazis or, you know, some people, and he yelled, you know, hey, you know, if you're saying some Nazi stuff, you're a fucking Nazi, and he got suspended for that. And luckily it got it fixed, but nonetheless, it was just like, I mean, you know, he was saying on his YouTube stream that he did, like, hey, you know, I feel like it seems like Twitch is going after, like, a lot of these, you know, anarchist types, or, you know, these more obscure types, you know, on the left and shit, you know, as the way to kind of, like, clean up shop to make it a little bit more polished. And it's just like, yeah, because honestly, I think it's, you know, Twitch is trying to just be more the casual streaming platform, more so than, like, a political-based type of platform like a lot of people go to it for. On top of, you know, the gaming shit. Doesn't bring in much money, and it's worth controversy. Exactly. That's pretty much, you know, the root of it. They don't want the controversy. Even though that does give them the views, and if you think about it, does also give them the money, because people donate to these streamers and shit, and Twitch obviously gets a cut out of it. So, I mean, it's just like, you'd think that, you know, they would welcome it. It's like, hey, money, sweet. But they want to have a lot of the big corporate money, you know, and they don't like that. You know, they don't like a lot of that more controversial type of shit, even if it does make it money. They want to be controversial enough to where it's, you know, to their liking, but not, you know, anything outside of that. I'm so high, I can speak Ukrainian. All these drugs going straight to my cranium. You know I'll be smoking all that vibranium. Oh, this was the boy. What's your Paul's been doing live stream? You doing twofer, huh? Twofer stream.
Because I don't understand. And maybe talking to the other guys and maybe, examining it a little bit would lead to some breakthroughs in my knowledge here. I'm not really blaming myself. That's the thing, is I'm not sitting here feeling guilty about it.
What do you do?
Not necessarily.
Be guilty, Paul. What'd you do?
I'm confused. I'm very confused by it still, to this day.
What do you do?
I don't blame you. The anti-SJW community went from being just a group of people criticizing...
Probably talking about maybe his past usages of SJW words. Did he kill a kid? No. He's going to leave him there for a little bit and kind of figure it out. Apparently his mom gave him, like, the fear of God in him about it. She's like, oh, you got to get rid of him.
I wouldn't even walk back.
And he also talked to one of his neighbors, and apparently the person that lived in the house before him had a fuckload of outdoor cats. And apparently that mama cat is one of those outdoor cats that he had. He had like 20 outdoor cats apparently before he left, and he just left all of his outdoor cats basically. So that female cat is one of those outdoor cats from the previous renter of the house. And yeah. So, you know, now there's a bunch of ferals / outdoor cats running around, like, in his neighborhood because of the previous owner.
And
So
I don't feel bad for pointing that out. But by the same token, you know, I don't feel like the very act of me putting that out, see, in my mind, the act of me being critical in that way is not saying, like, oh, also economic fucking social, or right-wing social theory, come on over. But
oh, it buffered.
these with you.
So do you think you'll like Victoria? Yeah, I think I'll get the hang of it eventually.
Never the fucking output. That was never the thought process. Never. And the fact that it turned out that way is just, it's mine. I really have trouble seeing the transition. I mean, I know it all kind of is, it goes back to the atheist days. Because I was, you know, largely...
I think he's talking about the alt-right pipeline type of thing.
Between religion and politics. And,
it's more depth of economic stem than Hearts of Iron, but I like it. I do too.
Were pretty staunch leftists whenever that came up. But somehow the normal kind of apolitical nature of religious critique turned into right-wing shit. And then that turned into just politically right-wing shit.
And now it's weird culture war right-wing shit. So, oh my god, it just keeps going down the right-wing fucking path, bro.
I think it was an attempt to stem the tide of, but I think the dam was breaking. Like, it was a ham-fist.
I mean, honestly, I will admit, it's just so fucking shitty that there is kind of a resurgence on the right now. But at the same time, there is a resurgence on the left via labor, since that's such, you know, on an offense right now, too. So it's not like it's all negative. Oh my god, what fucking plane is flying overhead?
You would get taking part in the great debate if you talked to religious people was, oh, isn't atheism just a religion?
Just a religion. I love that shit. People still believe that, too. So stupid.
A really great way to come back to that was, no. Religion has no churches, it has no dogma, it has no holy books. And the more of those things started to show up, the more Richard Dawkins books started to be made, and the more atheist organizations that started to crop up. And the
Goddamn Bufford.
more
Oh my god.
shit that started to get piled on top of atheism. It didn't feel right, you know? It didn't feel right to anybody in the movement.
Oh my god, bro. Wow.
Small group of people.
You just did that.
Maybe they saw the writing on the wall. As flawed as their attempt to marry social justice.
Trying to hide his peaches. He's got some peaches going on. I'm trying to hide them.
In the early days.
Wow, what a
They
goof.
saw the writing on the wall in the way that other people didn't.
They just
What a goofball.
wanted to try to cut out the cancer. They didn't know how to.
Right, and the truth of the matter was, I think it was already starting in earnest, and there was no way to do it. There was no way to do it. It's just odd to me.
Is that a Black Hawk? How many fucking planes and helicopters are flying overhead? Jesus Christ.
It's the ghetto bird.
Get a bird. Yeah, the engine doesn't sound heavy enough for a Black Hawk. It's definitely like a Bell helicopter.
You criticized. They were grifters. They were just trying to be the most. They were performers. They were trying to be the most extreme, get the most attention.
Of course. Absolutely.
People like Sargon
The idea that the intentions were
and
all
shit.
on one side or
Now that dude's literally just a full-on incel grifter. Like, you don't even hear anything out of him anymore because he just panders to such a tiny crowd that takes money out of their mama's credit cards. Because they're incel neats. Or just incels that literally live by themselves. It's just like, damn, bro.
I don't know how much the downturn in religiosity has to do with that.
Man, Man, Paul Stream is buffering hardcore,
But I
bro.
think that movement might have been an outcropping of more and more people questioning religion and searching for it, being able to find it on the internet and find other people that thought that same way. And so it played its role that way, I think. But I don't think it was like a catalyst. I think it was just a community that sprung up around it. Hi, Paul. Hi, darling. Wait right there. I shall return.
No, sad face.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just kind of really interesting to see how, like, a lot of the former, like, atheist community kind of broke off into its own little fragments. Like, kind of have, like, some of the, at least, you know, left adjacent ones, you know, from Sean Head to TJ and shit. And then you got, like, ones who decide to just kind of keep going on the science trend or, you know, like, debunk fucking, you know, bullshit by, like, Elon, like, you know, Thunderfoot and shit. Or debunk random, like, weird conspiracy theory stuff like Armor Skeptic. Or UFO stuff. I wonder if Armor Skeptic's still doing his thing. Yeah, he went the debunk route. Which honestly, you know, I think for most of them, you know, like, they went down pretty respectable routes, but it's only at this point, like, a few of them that went down some really fucking weird-ass routes, like, mainly, like, people like Sargon and shit. Because their pipeline now is just, I don't even know, bro. Don't even know what to say to it. I mean, honestly, I mean, if anything, it's just kind of sad, more so for the fucking people that watch it, more so than the actual, you know, shit. I don't watch Armored Skeptic much anymore because amongst my favorite conspiracy stuff, UFOs. Hey, well, maybe you need a little bit of a, you know, the enlightening, bro. Hey, you little sleepyhead. Hey. Aww, he's so cute. He's just a sweet baby. Really? Say, hey, don't do that. That's a rarity. I mean, he's still a puppy. I'm gonna let him keep him for a little bit. I mean, I might just let him keep him anyway, just give him a vasectomy later down the road. Oh, look at that little face. Look how lazy he's just doing that. Such a, oh my god. So lazy-like. So clumsy. Aww. I like to nickname those as little peaches, because they look like little peaches.
To be honest, guys, did any of you start going down the alt-right pipeline? You were young in those days, the 2014s and shit.
No. I was lucky enough to find people like Secular Talk before that happened. Actually, I found Sargon because of Secular Talk initially, and you know, at least at first, and that was before he went down his pipeline. And at least initially, I thought he was kind of interesting, but a little too sophisticated for my mind, at least at the time.
I don't know, that MRA shit.
I feel like I went down more the MRA route a little bit more than anything else. Because I was a little bit more on the anti-feminist train more than anything, which, you know, it was more so because of the SJW shit, you know, so I think that's why. And it wasn't really like I was like really into it. I was more like, you know, there are legitimately, I think, some stuff, because I honestly, I still think it's true, there is. Like when it comes to, like, you know, civil courts and shit like that. Like, you know, there's definitely some things where, you know, men get hit harder with in comparison to women. So, I mean, you know, it's not like they don't exist, but, you know, it was more like, oh my god, so it was more of like, hey, what the fuck, yo, like, why don't women get treated like that or some shit? It's more or less like, why aren't we be treated like women in that way? Like, if anything, it's like, at this point, whatever, like, MRA philosophy I have left is more, intertwined into the egalitarianism. Which I think, a lot of, at least, the original roots of feminism was about egalitarianism. And, liberation of women, to be as equal as, their fellow man. So, I mean, if anything, it's just like, at this rate, it all kind of intertwines intersectionally into a more broader egalitarianistic philosophy. So, because at this point, I will also be like a, feminist and a MRA guy too, I guess. I almost went on the feminazi train, the anti-feminazi train. I mean, I kind of like, stepped on board before it left the station, and I was kind of like walking around. But then I was just like, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, did you accidentally ban them? Oh, you can unban them. I can on my end, but I think you can. All you have to do is just unhide them and all that shit. Yeah, make sure. Because I enjoy that shit. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, enjoy chatting that guy. He was around during the Twitch days. I forgot what his original name was on Twitch, but as soon as he said he came over from Twitch, I immediately recognized who he was. I just, for some reason, keep forgetting what his Twitch name was.
Maybe that's part of how this happens. It's like the MRAs, some of it, they make a point. You can't really argue with any of that. At least I can't, knowing what I know.
I just talk about the MRA stuff too now.
That's the same way that some of this other shit happens. It's like, you make fun of big red nut feminists that would
fixed
pull fire alarms and yell in people's faces and call them a fuck face and never let them, you know what I mean? If that's the thing that you're being exposed to when it comes to feminism, it's like...
And back in 2014, 2015, that's what I was exposed to when it came to the idea of feminism. So
started getting taken over by
it made sense, at least back then. Not anymore now. I just look at that and just think it's woke, scoldy, stupid ridiculousness, and yeah, those people are stupid, and they still are to this day, but at the end of the day, they don't speak for feminism, or speak, for the issues that they claim to speak about. They're just fucking loud, vocal idiots, so, whatever.
Like, I can definitely sympathize with your way of thinking. I don't personally think so, but I know why you would ponder that.
Yeah, maybe that was it. It was people being drawn to MRA because of the anti-SJW shit.
Yep.
And then a lot of them being...
Because I will say for myself for sure, during 2014-15, I was a little bit more on that more than anything.
They got them in the same room with one another.
So, like, initially I was a little bit more about, I guess, like, my initial philosophy was more, like, kind of centrism, but kind of, like, left-centered type of stuff, at least initially, back into, like, 2014-15, but I never really knew what my, views were entirely yet. Like, back then, I never knew anything about, like, unions and shit like that. So, there was definitely a lot of stuff I have yet to learn, at least back then. But what I did know, basically kind of definitely put some of my elements socially, at least center-right, probably. But that kind of quickly shifted shortly over time.
Other than the fact that they're both inherent.
Trying to get my cat neutered so he can't make more kitties. I was just thinking about your pooch that you had to get rid of. It's just like, I just realized, why can't you just, like, why couldn't they, with you, work on making, like, a little separate enclosure area for her to run around in? Like, if you have enough land for some horses, surely you got enough land to have, like, a little spot, for the dog to run around in. Maybe we could convince them, hey, we can make it work this time. Let's just do this. Because then, pooch won't escape, but at least, when put outside, when they're not attended to, they can be there. And if they are attended to, but I couldn't afford the materials for a pen. For a pen. Well, I mean, oh, so the coffee dropped my grinder. You're lucky there was nothing in there, or I would have been upset. So, so you already did try to go with that. Damn. I mean, honestly, it's just like, fuck, I would have, like, helped out with that. Like, cause surely, like, cause think about it, like, things like nails don't cost much, and wood, like, that would be the biggest investment. It's just the wood and the labor to get that all made. I mean, but at the end of the day, or at least, you know, maybe some, like, metal fencing shit, you know, and some metal posts. But that'd probably be more expensive, so I don't know. I mean, either way, there could have been means. It just would have taken time to invest in it. I suppose that's what happens when you jump the gun. You, like, because I have to do that for my fucking backyard. I have to start really getting, like, an actual, like, gate/fence for one of my sides of the house, so he actually can't fucking escape. You know, to decide, because, like, at this point, there's just no way for him to be sealed off. Like, he has made a hole. And there's just no way to, at this point right now, seal it with the shit that's there. But we have the materials. That's my luck. I have fucking wood galore to make materials to actually make a fence. It'd be a little rugged, but hey, it would at least, you know, still be there and be feasible. And plus, I can, you know, like, polish it up and make it look nice. So... And besides, I've been meaning to make some scroll platforms, you know, for the spring and summer, so I'm thinking, you know, maybe at some point I'll take some vacation time just to do some, you know, some labor work around here. Get my friends over to fucking help me. I mean, but, you know, it's like, that's just kind of what, you know, the biggest investments are. It's just really the money for the materials and then the labor power to fucking put it in place. I suppose maybe you can, you know, go up to them. A friend in a family who owns a bunch of shepherds like her. Aw. So they can at least potentially visit her from time to time and still see her. So that's at least good. Well, maybe there could be a possibility of, like, still getting something like that put in place. And maybe, you know, having, you know, maybe not necessarily Alice, but maybe having another dog, you know, to, you know, be there again. It's just, you know, putting something there first before actually getting the dog. Yeah, so that would just be the main thing. I'd see about talking to him about it. You know, it's like, hey, if we put the pin in first, you know, could there be a you know, or at least like a, you know, closure space, you know, outside, you know, then, you know, see if it, you know, that could be more of a possibility at that point. If not, you know, make it like an extension for like gardening or some shit, or an extension for the horses. I don't know. Even if you end up doing it and it ends up not working out, you can use that little chunk of land, you know, for something.
It'll take a couple of generations before we get back to the mind your own business mentality, if we ever do.
Oh God, I hope we do.
I think the internet has pretty much killed that. now it's impossible for people to not put their business on Front Street.
No shit, man.
Kind of
whatever happened to the whole mind business?
Socialization structure. You gotta fucking put your life on Front Street. If you don't, no. So yeah, I don't know.
Or do illegal gardening in a forest around our house, Lamau.
Business generation. Yeah.
Ah. Surely something they don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most.
I'm assuming your, you know, your routine walks in the forest. You know, I'm going on my walk. Wink. Why do you have some gardening tools? I don't know. Clear up a new path, see if there's something new out there. Something to check out. Wink. Okay. I don't know why you just don't take the machete.
People can't even really put the politics on.
Yep, about.
Attribute of adults, the adults that I grew up with. I grew up around.
Yeah, the stream. Still going good. And back.
Republicans. Like,
yeah, probably had just a little buffer.
Mix in between independents and all that shit. They would argue from time to time about politics, but they also were able to just switch that part of their brain off and engage on a human level with one another.
Oh, you know, I actually need to figure something out here.
Both sides.
Like, after Trump, it's like, I'm going to delete my aunt, I'm going to delete my grandpa, I'm going to delete my... my cousin. It's not going to interact with half my family.
It's very odd to me, but there's no denying that that's the way of things now, so.
Well, it's because it made it so much easier. Like, you used to just go unfriend, block.
Unfriended and blocked. That's why I don't even use Facebook. I just chat with people or just have their phone number if I want to talk with them. Speaking of which, I actually have an old friend that I mean to hit up. I haven't hit it up in a while.
Do you ever have politics like come up at the dinner table, like a Thanksgiving
Or
whatever?
is it just me, or Asian men and women are just absolutely gorgeous? It's not just Asian men and women that I find pretty gorgeous myself, but I also find Arabic and Middle Eastern men and women pretty gorgeous. A lot of like Scandinavian men and women pretty gorgeous. A lot of African men and women that could be pretty gorgeous. A lot of American indigenous peoples, southern and northern, Latino peoples. Like honestly, like I mean, you could find different little flavors of all sorts of people that could be like fucking drop dead gorgeous as fuck. I think for me it would probably maybe be more like maybe like Middle Eastern / like Arabic men and women, but I don't really have like a strong preference one way or another when it comes down to that type of shit. But there's definitely some sexy ass Asian dudes, I will admit that. Especially when they got like, a little bit of facial hair going on, some like, long hair. They got like styled up or, in some way. Like, whatever way, it doesn't even matter. If it's just regular ponytail or like, some other crazy shit, it doesn't even matter. Like, I mean, like usually if they got something like that going on, it's just like, okay, goddamn. Because for some reason, I'm like, feel like I'm reminded of like, some sort of like, strident, accomplished, known warrior that, that's like, charismatic, fellow to his men and, to his people and shit or something. Like, I feel like I'm like, seeing that a little bit. I'm like, oh, damn.
For us to go over and liberate the people of Iraq from oppression. And we went back and forth, and it got more heated.
Gotta liberate them.
There was yelling and screaming, and then finally my stepdad just threw his hands up, got up off the table. My mom got up and walked away from the table. And that was that, man. That shocked us out of it, you know what I mean? Because they just were sick of fucking hearing the bickering. They were trying to get the family together to have a nice meal, you know what I mean? And it just ended up being a fucking bickering match. And it was that day that I really had to make a couple of decisions.
God,
And one of them was, if I want to have any kind of relationship with my sister, I'm going to have to set aside politics. Let's not discuss politics.
That's how it is with my family down south.
The last 20 years.
To a degree. Like, we could talk politics to some stuff, but when it comes to other shit, it's like, gotta be hush and mum. Mostly on, like, social issues, but when it comes to, like, economic stuff, at least when it comes to certain aspects of things, I mean, it's just like, I mean, there's a little bit more of an open ability to talk about that type of shit. But, oh my god. I don't even want to know, like, what it'd be like to talk social issues, like, on, like, LGBT issues and shit, because they don't even know that I'm bi, so it's like, that would be a very tricky subject to try to talk about. My family, I'm black sheep, my stepdad is conservative, my mom's a lib, and I'm a commie. I mean, I would say, like, both of my parents are kind of, to some degree, a black sheep in the families, and I definitely am, for sure. Even within the black sheeps. Like, I'm a black sheep among black sheep. So, it's just like, I mean, because I'm basically a full-on, like, syndicalist, commie, lefty type, and my dad's, like, a quasi-libertarian, like, centristy conservative type. I don't like. It's hard to really pin him down sometimes. My mom's definitely kind of an evangelical Christian, but not like full-on conservative. She's kind of like centrist conservative almost, like a centrist right-leaning person. And her side of family is mostly just evangelical Christians, mostly, not all of them. A lot of them tend to be more liberal-leaning in their views, and some of them are more conservative-leaning, but broadly are evangelical Christian one way or another. And my dad's side of the family is essentially, like, I mean, funny, like, my sister is actually probably more aligned with my politics, but but really fundamentally, I actually don't know what all of her politics are. I know more about my brother's politics, and we definitely don't align, at least, with certain things. Instead, I want to be a pastor, and I do my best to keep him from preaching. Fucking hate. Yeah. I mean, especially if he's mildly homophobic, yeah. I mean, if anything, it's just like, at the very least, as long as he's trying to preach something, it's like to try to, like, kind of help out your, neighbor or whatever the fuck. I mean, at least, there would be something to that or some shit. I don't even know. Like, as long as he's not being like, fuck the gays or some shit. But, I mean, chances are he's gonna do that anyway. Funny enough, my store manager is formerly a fucking pastor. And you know my opinions about him. Considering the workplace. So it's just like strange how a lot of these more like conservative leaning pastor types tend to be kind of shitty. Which is weird because he accepts my roommate who's a lesbian. He's probably one of those like straights who are like fuck the gays, but two women having sex is hot, so that's fine. Like he's probably one of those types because I'm not even gonna lie, before I kind of realized I was bi and shit, I was kind of the same way a little bit, growing up. Same thing with one of my friends before, when he was, found out he was bi too. Like, he was, like, so straight that he thought it was, like, like, I mean, he was basically, to the point where he thought, like, it was, like, I don't even know. Like, he had, like, some weird thing about it, for a while. At this point, I don't think he gives a shit. Aside from thinking it's probably hot still. But, I mean, because honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it is. But, hey, it's just like, I'm bi, so, like, sex, one, sex for all, sex for everybody, spread it around to, like, it's just like, spread the love, as far as I'm concerned. That's pretty fun before I realized I was bi. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't, like, full-on homophobic, but a lot of my mom's tacit homophobia kind of leashed on to me a bit. But once I kind of realized, and it kind of accepted my own shit, and kind of realized, oh, and also my mom's reaction to it, and realizing, wait, she didn't do anything to really, about this outside, from kind of enabling some of this type of, kind of, like, honestly, for me, it was more of an epiphany moment during a counselor session. It took me kissing a dude to realize I like both. Yeah, for me, it was, like I said, a counselor session. Because, basically, my, when it was a little bit prior to that. I think it was the session before, the one I'm talking about, where, I kind of realized it. And confronted that up to my mom about it, and basically she was like, start crying and start saying, where did I go wrong? And then I had an epiphany. I'm like, probably from not just, maybe helping me through and just figuring out whether I do feel like this or not, instead of, just enabling a lot of the suppressionary fucking views. Like, I didn't really say anything about it, but I just had kind of a little bit of an epiphany moment. Then I'm just like, huh? And my dad just kind of looked at her a little like, kind of like odd and confused, because he said, well, if you are, whatever, just be safe. Like, like by safe meaning using protection and shit like that. So he didn't give a fuck. Probably because honestly, he is too, at least to some degree. He's, not in detail, but he's told me some of the things. And And even then, I don't want to know, but yeah, it's just like, she did the generic where I go wrong thing. I know. Which that in itself is also kind of tacit abuse, too, because it's implying that, you know, she's at fault for something that's wrong with me. And there ain't, even though there wasn't. Because to me, it's like, you know, after a while, I realize, you know, oh, there ain't really nothing wrong with me on that. I mean, I guess also partially it was also looking at furry porn. I'm just gonna be fucking blunt. Like, I saw some fucking, like, hot ass, like, you know, male furry fox or some shit, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck? So I was like, okay, alright, maybe I am a little bit. And I started kind of having some revelations, but then the actual epiphany hit during that session.
Native, Yakut, and English simultaneously. And I was just like, dude, you're fucking. You can't even get most kids thoroughly and you're.
Used to be molested as a kid. Ooh. Doesn't justify the homophobia, but goddamn, bro. Fucked.
You can't even like agree on preschool. Preschool was huge.
Honestly, I've had a few close calls with shit like that before, but never been myself. Think fuck. I know, so I appreciate. I'm kind of start appreciating when I notice I appreciate a nice cock making love to a woman. I think for me, it was probably kind of the same thing. A little bit. And also probably just like, you know, during the puberty phase, probably just, you know, general self-curiosity and shit, you know. I think, you know, at that point as well. So I think you know, during puberty, obviously you're going to start, you know, probably, you know, doing things, you know, to yourself and shit. So it's just like, I mean, by that point, it's, you know, I mean, it could legitimately be like all sorts of various different factors, you know, that come into play. At least for me, I think it was just, you know, I was just bi from the start, you know, because at least for me, you know, there's definitely, you know, different things, you know, from puberty and shit that I didn't realize. Now looking back, you know, I'm just like, like, damn, I love cocks and vaginas. I just want to make everyone feel good, Lamau. Same here. I'm just like at that point. I won't necessarily say I'm like hypersexual, but I'm definitely like a free love, you know, sexual being type of guy.
So she will teach the kids when they're way too young to even begin to think about teaching them to speak. She teaches them rudimentary signs for like, I'm hungry, I'm sad, I'm angry, whatever. She'll communicate with like little tiny toddlers, like little babies. It's nuts. So there's a huge capacity in the mind during these formative years to learn language, and it really should be standard.
I'm not polygamous, but I do love me some casual sex activity. You know, honestly, I don't know if I'm kind of like a polygamous person or not. I've kind of like spitballed the idea in my head before, but, you know, I've just never obviously been, you know, in enough relationships really to, you know if I'm really, you know, like into that or not. But at the end of the day, I definitely know I'm, you know, into, you know, a lot of casual, you know, sex play and shit, obviously. I think most people are.
Yeah, I never learned any Chinese. Is that the only thing you remember? Do you remember the days of the week?
No. I only did it for like an after school thing for like a few months, I think.
Oh, yeah. But look how much you remember, look how much it's stuck in your head.
Yeah.
This many years later, you can still count in Chinese.
Yeah.
You know base 10, so you can pretty much communicate numbers in Chinese. That's awesome. That's really good.
I know how to speak up to 10 in German.
I learned Spanish.
And also the more military version of the number 2 in German. There's 1, 2, then there's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And the reason why the military is Zvol is because sometimes in radio chatter, Zwei can be confused with Drei. So there'll be 1, 2, 3, wir wohnt wird 7, 8, 9 sind. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sind. Well, I've been with one guy, but I've been with several girls. I've been with I've been with mostly, I think, like 2 chicks, one in high school, one kind of off and on during like the first little bit of my tenure at work with a coworker, and then but that didn't really go too far. It was more of kind of like casual for the most part, and then 2 dudes, one in high school when I was kind of after I realized I was buying shit, and then one of my buddies. So I've had my little share of experiences. Because where I live and I don't want to die. Yeah, no, I understand you on that. Around here, no one gives a fuck. And if people do give a fuck, they usually just kind of keep it to themselves. Or if they do say something, it's usually more about saying something, and usually they get shut the fuck down pretty quick.
That was one thing about our local curriculum that's changed. I think now you only need 2 years of foreign language to graduate high school. Back when I was in high school, I had to take 4.
What time is it? It's almost 7. My buddy should be here a little bit after 7. Picking me up to go to Alex Cooper. I'm just gonna pick up now a semi-cold pizza.
16-year-old some things, but not as easily.
Let's see about it, game, man. Yeah. It's just fucking ridiculous. It makes me really question whether states' rights is to fucking, whether states' rights is even a good thing or not. Take pics. Oh, definitely will. I'll probably take a video or 2 too.
Figuring out the different angle, the degree, whatever, you know what I mean, the fucking triangle.
Also, Alice Cooper when she lived in California 20 years ago. Nice.
See, the thing was, my mind was extraordinarily open and absorbed. I was absorbing the things I was interested in, the things I had a natural proclivity to. I was eating fucking English for breakfast because I loved reading and I loved learning about different topics in that realm, and how to write, and how to read.
Well, pretty much in the meantime. Which is also why I'm basically streaming, because I have pretty much not really much to do. Until, my buddies pick me up. Also, I got fucked over by Red Baron. And this happens sometimes. Like, this pizza had, 5 pepperonis on it. And that was it. And not full pepperonis, like the quarter of a pepperoni. And it's bullshit, bro. Sometimes there'll be a butt fuck load of pepperonis. Sometimes there'll be what is supposed to be probably the proper amount, which is fine. That's actually okay. But then I also seasoned it, so you can't really tell. But then there's this bitch ass shit where it's all fucking no goddamn fucking pepperoni, and I had to try to spread it around in its pepperoni-less state, to try to equalize the pepperoni per bite.
Beyond that, dude,
I'm excited for doing Spice Wars and Capital Sparks of Revolution games coming out later this month. Oh yeah, the Spice Wars is supposed to come out.
I'm just like, what?
It's good. Yeah, you'll have to let me know, especially about the Spice Wars. I definitely want to check that out for sure. That sounds awesome.
I never was good.
Yeah, and that was the age of a lot of your audience, going back to that pipeline thing. It's like 16, or probably 14 to 17-year-olds, honestly. You probably had.
There's probably quite a few, yeah. We definitely skewed.
Damn Canadian Liberals caught manipulating to fund the police polls.
You know, ignorant young men who are stupid just because
Rip.
they're young.
I wish people could fucking realize it.
Of course, you know, fucking Canadian libs are capable of such things. If only we had, you know, the good proper, you know, jingoism, you know, to just annex them already. I'm kidding, YouTube. Got a friend who's in the closed beta, and he says this plays like Civilization with doing code to paint on it.
Can't even really say the word.
I'm fine with that, honestly. I like Civilization.
The other word, but
If you played the OG Civilization 3,
I'm kind of,
that's the shit. I was playing that all the time growing up.
especially in like 16 through 18, I was all into hip hop, and all my friends were into hip hop. And
I was all into heavy metal and rock and roll back then. And blues. And jazz. Now it's just about anything and everything.
Topia. Ebonics, yes. That's an
That's Civ 5 Lamau.
Now they don't really use Ebonics anymore, but yes, that's what it was called.
You know what? As a token of goodwill, I might give you Civ 3. Because they have the complete edition on Steam.
Yeah, so cringy.
You don't buy it, I do it. You've bought me a lot of shit, so I think it's at least the least I can do.
Right.
That reminds me, I need to download that on here. I need to download Civ 3.
I mean, when you say like, that has changed.
It's a classic.
The vernacular has changed. Like finning used to be finsta or fitting. We used to say I'm fitting to head up the road or whatever. Finsta is more like it's just parts of it. Because I was tuned into it then, I hear it now.
It's to head up the road. See how's Koopa.
There's been a lot of stuff.
I see it.
It's like capping. I always bring this up. Like if you capped on somebody back in the day, you were like
capped on their ass.
Like bagging on them. You're roasting them. Oh man, capped on me, dude. He was talking about mama. Like this.
Or it could be literal.
Now a cap is a lie, right? So people say, "Oh, that's cap." It just means they're lying on it. Somebody's lying.
I haven't heard that yet. I haven't heard that version of cap.
Being on the tip. So you were on the so it's hard to explain. So you would be on, like, if you liked a band, you were on the tip. So like you would be on the TLC tip, or I'm on the fucking Jay-Z tip or whatever. It just means that like I'm into that. Like I'm into that. I guess you would say now I fuck with Jay-Z, or I fuck with TLC or whatever. You would say,
I've always heard it as
like,
I fuck with it.
80s,
I fucks with that.
Stuff, so I wasn't even really.
Well, as far as I know.
I just heard the music from then.
Bust a cap on your ass with this fat nut.
To start and put on the affectation.
There, we made it a joke.
15, 16.
We made it a joke, YouTube. Are you happy?
Dude, a couple of my first Paul Zito vids were Lulgit and Sell the Sizzle. Mr. Paul discovered Astronaut Jones because of you, man. Cool. Paul gets canceled for saying on the tip. Yeah.
On tip.
Faux shizzle. Yeah.
Faux shizzle.
That was just some Snoop Dogg shit.
I do that sometimes, honestly. Faux shizzle. Honestly, before I knew that was a Snoop Dogg thing, I said that a lot in elementary and middle school.
We should just lock 14.
Faux shizzle, my nizzle.
17-year-olds in a box.
Yeah, we should.
That was
really
like something I said all the time.
Something. I love that. There's a line at towards the very beginning of Dead Poet Society, where the kids are all running down the stairs to get to classes, and there's a teacher trying to go up the staircase, and they're bumping into him and stuff, and he's like, "Slow down, you horrible phalanx of pubescents." I don't know why I love that, but
what the fuck?
But yeah. Fucking
phalanx of pubescents.
And let them work out being fucking cringe. Send them to Cringe Island, and don't let them watch people because they're way too impressionable.
Yeah, let all the, like, cringe teenage lords just be on the islands. We'll just make it, like, fucking, you know, Lord of the Flies. We'll just make that.
Not back in my day, but nowadays.
He's just describing Lord of the Flies. Paul's like, send all the teenagers on an island. Yeah, Lord of the Flies.
I've seen it happen, man. Because they start watching fucking JoJo Siwa or some shit, and they just turn into a nightmare. Dude, I have this niece, not from my biological sister.
Okay.
She's fine. She's just being.
I laughed, taking a hit. That was horrible.
The way that teenage girls express cringe isn't as cringy as it is, but it's still just as annoying. They become like, I can't be fucked to be interested in the thing you're saying. That's what teenage girls do. They just, especially now that they've got a cell phone. Just be talking about some shit, and they'll just like.
Oh my god.
Just be like, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my god. Only 2 years.
Oh. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like I remember we gave her the same, like, gift card before. She was all stoked about the gift card the year before.
Well, yeah, it was for books.
Oh.
Yeah. So the year, but that's what I'm talking about. That's how she changed. She used to
God, I should not have taken that hit.
A kid that loved reading.
At that time.
And then the next year, because I remembered the year before, oh man, she loved that. I think Barnes & Noble or whatever. Gift card.
I look defeated, don't I?
And it was like she bought her something that was from an alien planet.
Like a kid.
Yeah, she was like, oh. I was like, you can get other stuff at Barnes & Noble too. You don't have to get books.
Teenager Island sounds like an excuse for sex crimes. We already have that. It's called St. James.
Alright, you get a Hot Topic one next.
We already had it at Epstein Island.
Yeah.
This is the Lord of the Flies Island.
Cash next year. That's what she really wanted. Really cash. Here you go. 40 bucks. Get on my face.
Oh my god. Wow. Defeated. Murked. Destroyed.
Island of Cringe would be epic.
I wouldn't want to go there. I wouldn't know.
Lord of the Cringe Flies, dude.
I survived my fucking 10 years. I don't have to go. But I should have gone.
Like if you had a little secret camera on the Island of Cringe.
Okay, now we're starting to make an excuse. Oh god, okay. Hold up. No, we don't have cameras. Just let it be solitary.
Like as soon as I fucking looked. I regretted it.
Damn, Amelia. She's the one making excuses.
She'll be like, yeah, we'll give her cash next Christmas, and she'll be like, you guys ever heard of the Cash App? Cringe. How do I even spend this?
What is this? It's paper.
Online with this?
How do I, like, put this in my phone?
She's just not gonna be happy for 3 years.
I'd have to get like.
Oh god.
I'd have to get like some like pop star or something. I'd have to get like what's that, BTS or something.
Oh god, no.
BTS to show up. All right, here's your Christmas present. It's BTS. And she'd be like, oh my god,
dude.
Get her followed by BTS or something.
Oh sweet Jesus. I don't know what it is about teenage girls and BTS, though. I don't even get it.
I was so happy when we saw my
Deadass don't even get it.
sister having become a complete anime girl.
Yeah. No,
my mom was like starting to go kind of like, oh yeah, she likes anime and she likes this Japanese stuff. It's like, she better not be an anime when we show up.
Yeah.
She better not be a weeb when we get there. You will re-educate that
about anime,
right out of her.
That's a good sign.
A seed. My goodness.
They were pleasantly not cringe.
Dude, I can't even, like, I literally want to cringe out of my, I'm so fucking thankful with everything inside of me that I was born after the age of everybody films everything and puts it on the internet.
Oh, thank God. Honestly, I was not born in that time. Because you have the mom, you get the soccer moms that want to just share everything of your childhood to the internet. And that was my mom. So fortunately, my cringe is
Oh, hell yeah.
It is out there to be found if one is able to.
No, it might work. It's like, oh, shit. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness that's not out there.
Oh, it is somewhere. You know deep down inside it is, Paul.
Dude,
One of your buddies VHS taped it, digitalized it, and uploaded it somewhere.
this Redman album called Docs the Name, called Let the Monkey Out. And I remember we were in my friend's Honda Del Sol. This little Honda Del Sol that had two 12s in its trunk crammed in there. So it bumped. It had bump.
It had some bump.
And we were stopped at a stoplight, bumping that song so loud that people in neighboring businesses were listening to it. And we were singing along with it, and it's inward this, and it's about letting the monkey out, and this, that.
Oh, no.
We're just like lost in the, we were flowing.
Flowing.
Shit you not, I looked over to the left, and there's a Jeep with two black dudes in it, just like.
Just.
Oh
my God. Sure, bro. Oh my God.
But that used to be the thing we would do.
Oh my God, bro.
Did you, like, let me ask you guys this. Did you guys ever cruise? It was cruising. You probably did. Was that a thing that kids did? Cruising?
I did not have a car, and I was not close enough to anyone with a car.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Is like everybody.
We'd be cruising.
Cruising. I don't know if people. Yeah. It seems like
Hopping in a whip and cruising around.
Generation after me. But that used to be a thing that we would do like every fucking weekend. And then part of that was having like a real loud booming stereo. And so it didn't even really matter if your car was good. You had to get that fucking like. Cause
that's true though. Dude, that was kind of true with my friend. Like, we always wanted to make sure we had, like, kind of a bumping stereo so we could kind of bump loud-ass tunes. If not, we just brought Bluetooth speakers and just bumped it hella loud.
My generation is about listening how loud my fucking stereo.
Because we all have, like, music on our phones. So it's just like, you know, if, you know, we all need something, we always bump something.
Right there, baby. That's a box Lanzar. That's two 12s. Boom! Dude, it sounds like a fucking bomb going off out of my trunk. That's what you wanted.
Some nukes going off in that trunk. Bumping it.
Every weekend, but that was just something we do. We go to Fresno, California, to Blackstone Avenue, man. We cruise up and down that motherfucker looking for girls. Or just looking to get in a fight or whatever. Somebody to argue with.
Oh my God.
And then what would it usually...
Strangely enough, outside of all that shit, that's kind of what my friends did. Only we went around and have some drinks, smoking weed, and just kind of chilling.
Eventually, we would...
Like, that was kind of like our forte, going around to the different parks around Portland, because there was a lot of them. And just, like, going to these different places, and to different little places to hike into and shit. Little creeks, little rivers, and all this type of shit.
Never once.
Usually the girl stuff came up as soon as the bars really started coming into play.
It really wasn't even about that on either side, though. Nobody was looking to, like, hop out of their girlfriend's car and into some dude's car and get fucked. It was just about exposing yourself to the opposite sex and, like, flirting openly or whatever. It was a place where people went, and if they were there, you knew that they were, like, into the flirt. And so it was a safe place to flirt with people that you normally probably would never fucking talk to.
You gotta remember, I was a lame kid that didn't party or nothing.
You weren't lame, you were just from another fucking generation that prioritized different shit. I'm telling you, you're not lame. Most kids, like when it comes to how I partied, most people that are fucking your age...
That was usually our forte, too.
...have no reference. It was
like, usually what we did is, like, we'll do a lot of our stuff, get together, vibe for, you know, some shit, go to one of our houses. If it was to one of my friends' apartments or some shit, we would just go vibe, you know, and spend the night there, usually. And, you know, basically just, like, play video games, kind of chat, smoke more weed, You know, and shit like that.
Like what you wanted to do was party hopping all weekend.
Though I remember this one time I saw my drunk friend sleeping with a 16-year-old. Oh, God. Yeah, that's a major yikes moment.
Less incentivized. A whole bunch of teenagers are less incentivized because there's so much watchdogging going on that wasn't going on when I was a kid. Like parents.
Honestly, I most certainly would never stand for anything like that from one of my buddies.
Go do what you're gonna do.
Because if I heard it, like, if one of them did do that shit, dead ass, I probably would just, like, beat the shit out of him.
Like, I know where you're at. Yeah, I mean, there was, like, very little of that type of fucking hard in my teen years. The hardest drug I was regularly was weed. You know what I mean? That's it. Every once in a while, there would be some cocaine or some shit. I didn't do that until I was in my I didn't try it until I was in my 20s.
Took off.
And not my drug.
The baby.
Not my drug at all. It was very low key, very centered around drinking beer and smoking pot.
Seems like that's general forte for a lot of dudes growing up. But she was the one trying to take advantage on him. Oh. Well, I would have just said something to her then. It's like, you're 16, you're not in any position to be, you know, trying to take advantage of any of this shit. Fuck off of that. I did a girl by reputation. Ah.
When I'm talking about a party, I'm talking about like 40 or more people banging out a house.
So, definitely a very, you know, fuckity type of person.
On a party that's got 10 fucking dorks at it, and you find a reason to leave real quick. Because that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for that chaotic fucking environment where you can just kind of melt into the party atmosphere. It did feel good. As a person that has always been very protective of my privacy.
I've been to a few of those type of, like, punk shows and house shows that have done that type of shit. Oh, fuck. Getting a little phone call from my buddy. I think that's him saying that he's here, I think. Them kicking around the party and locked him up to stop him from being drunk, horny man. Oh my lord. Wow. All in all, not surprised with that type of fucking shit. There. I'll get this last bowl smoked out, and pretty sure my friend's either almost here or did just arrive, so smoke this last bowl and call good. Okay, that must be easier if it's called multiple times. Anyway. We'll be back later. Yeah, probably. Anyway, peace out. And of course, I'll be back around for the next one, which will probably be around like maybe 11 or midnight. Who knows?